So this week we are discussing the first 8 chapters of Aisha Tyler's Self-Inflicted Wounds. And I'm sorry, I know I'm glowing this week unnaturally, but I can't help it. I'm just beautiful. No, that's not the reason. In this section, she sliced herself in half. She started a grease fire. She was a human maypole. She got boobs at a young age. She begged for food. She went through a weird ballerina phase. She peed everywhere, and she asked a boy out. So there's plenty of material, I think, to cover here. Now, so far, it seems like all the chapters sort of follow this same pattern. They start out with quotes, they tell the story, and then they try to package the entire situation into a life lesson of sorts. And also, usually along the way, there are copious amounts of pop culture references. I saw some Star Trek ones, some Star Wars ones, Terminator ones. There was even a Scooby-Doo reference. Yes, just chainsaw and drill away outside my window. Fantastic. And at first I thought this pattern might start to get a little bit stale, but as a pattern-loving individual, I'm actually not minding it. And also I think the stories are different enough to prevent it from getting old. Now also I get the feeling that these self-inflicted wounds are being detailed chronologically, because all of these first 8 chapters dealt with childhood self-inflicted wounds, so it kind of reads like a memoir of tragic incidents. Also, I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume that you guys are enjoying the tone of this book so far, because it seems to be very casual and conversational, yet still intelligent. And those are things that you guys seem to have liked from previous books that we've read. And I wrote down that the only chapter that I really took any sort of issue with was the Maypole chapter. And that's because I didn't think it seemed like a self-inflicted wound, and Aisha Tyler even mentioned that it's not really a self-inflicted wound, and I also don't think that the message in that chapter was super great for all purposes. In that chapter, Aisha Tyler talks about not revealing things about yourself so that people won't have the ammunition to bully you. And a few quotes from this chapter are, "I couldn't control the fact that I was tall or odd or a nerd or a creepy loner, but I could control the level to which I allowed my tall, odd, nerdy aloneness to be weaponized. If you can, try to avoid throwing metaphorical gas onto their flame of incomprehension. The last thing you should do is actively make yourself seem stranger than you already are." And I sort of related all of the explanation behind this chapter to going back to when I was in high school, and I wasn't out, I wasn't telling anyone I was gay, mainly for these exact reasons, and I think that that is kind of sad. And I don't think that Aisha Tyler would have told me to not come out of the closet in high school, but I do think that the advice at the end of that chapter was a little bit too generalized, and I also think it bordered on casting the blame on the victim instead of on the bullies, where it belongs. But I did enjoy the other life lessons, such as the one about accepting things that you cannot change about your body, and asking for things because the worst that people can tell you is no. So I am looking forward to hopefully hearing about some non-childhood self-inflicted wounds from Aisha Tyler, which I assume will be coming soon. So for next week, read chapters 9 through 16, from the bunny fiasco to the time I was in an a cappella group, and we will be discussing them here. This week, I would like to know your first initial impressions. That's the same thing. That means the same thing. Your first impressions of this book, especially what your thoughts are on the patterns of the chapters, and if you have any thoughts about the overall tone of the writing. So read up, and I will see you guys Wednesday.